Happy Holy Day, Moors. I want to welcome you to the House of Reawakening Minds, and our instructor tonight is Brother Abdullah Bey. Let's receive him.
This is what I've been coming here since, instructing since August, right? And I try to bring it, like you call it, hoping to stimulate people's thinking. I love to do that because people's thinking people have not been challenged to think, or they have not been given the basis in which to analyze meaning, analyze history, law, words. We've been told that words change meaning over a period of time. Well, how is that? How does that happen? What is the original meaning of words? Does it matter today? We're in 2018. Why deal with a meaning that's 200 years old, or 300, 500, 600, 1,000, 2,000, 10,000? We're in 2018. All right? So what I show people is that the 10,000 years old is still alive and well. You say you're just not aware of it. Because we are in survival mode. So we're in survival mode. We're not in rulership. As we're not back in rulership. All right? We're being oppressed. Our land is being colonized. We're subjugated. Our birthright has been stolen. Our more sovereignty has been usurped by the United States colonial powers, which is not a country, not a government, and not a nation. What is the nation and what nation were you born in?
What nation was I born in?
Can someone translate it to Chinese for me? Can someone translate the question to Chinese for me?
I wasn't born.
I said what?
I made manifest. Okay.
Right.
I wasn't born.
What nation were you manifesting?
I just manifested my mother, and I'm here in this realm, and I grew.
That's your answer. That's your answer. What nation were you manifested or born in? That's the fundamental question.
What nation?
All right. If I ask the Chinese, they're gonna give me some answer. If I ask the Japanese, a French, an English, a German, a Dutch, Nigerian, they're gonna give me some answer. I'm asking the question again. What nation were you born in?
Suppose the United States of America Republic.
United States of America Republic is not a nation, a country. As I said, not a nation. It's not a country or government. Once again, what nation were you born in?
I'm a little nervous.
No problem. What nation were you born in?
I was born in El Morocco, El Maghrib, Northwestern Exum.
She gave the answer. That's the correct answer. That's the correct answer. The name of this nation. All right? You got to be like this, baby. It can't be, this. Get me? Morocco. 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 And that's in what? 3.10 of a second. 10th of a second. All right? 1/10 of a second. Morocco. 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 What United States is, I didn't say, I asked you what nation you were born in. I ain't asked you anything about the United States. I ain't asked you anything about the United States. I asked you what nation were you born in. But I asked the Chinese. All right? In China, they're going to say, yes, and, why is that? Why is that? All right? The name of this nation is Morocco. So you say you were born in, if I ask you what nation you were born in, you say United States, then you didn't understand the question. Because the United States is not a nation. It never was. All right? So it's important that we understand our Moorish history. And it's understanding. Now, I've said many times, you can't discuss European history without discussing Moorish. There's no history. The Europeans do not have a history outside of us. There's no European history, in Moorish history. Yes, it's Moorish history outside of Europeans. I can talk Moorish history outside of European, all right? But I can't talk European history outside of Moorish history. I don't have to talk about Europeans at all. I can talk without talking about Europeans at all, I can talk about Moorish history. Before they were even made. Before they were made. So, I'm not talking Europeans at all. All right? They're modern. So if I'm talking ancient history, you wouldn't mention Europeans at all. If you mention Europeans and you're talking ancient history, then something's wrong. Because Europeans and ancient history don't go together. All right? If you're talking modern history, then all right. But you still have to talk about Moors. All right? So I brought up the Knights Templar. If I got my next book, looking to have it out by May. So this is the book cover. Talk about this. I'm going to continue to talk, just briefly, because, to prepare people for the book. Masonic Compass is square, the connection to timekeeping and measurement, 7 chapters, 300 pages. 7 chapters, almost 300 pages. All right, Masonic Compass square, the connection to timekeeping and measurement. Now, I have on there the image that the Knights Templar use. Now, that cross is tilted at a 23.5 degree angle. And that 23.5 degree angle is coded for the possession of the equinoxes. So it's not just, it looks good, that's the Knights Templar stuff, you know what I mean?
It's not.
It ain't the stuff. They don't have the stuff. What stuff do they have? That's theirs by birthright. This is encoded on the possession of the equinoxes. All the night orders use the 8-pointed cross. The 8-pointed cross, that is the combination or the intersection of the tropic cross and the galactic cross. And that, the galactic, the elliptic, the celestial equator, and the galactic equator intersects every 25,920 years. All right? Tropical cross, or Earth cross with 4 seasons. All right? And your galactic cross, galactic means milk. Galaxy means milk. Milky Way, there you go. All right? Galaxy, galactic cross. All right? So you have the 8-pointed star that the Knights Order use, and they're preserving the knowledge of the possession of the equinoxes. The great British flag, the British flag, is representation of the 8-pointed cross. Like I said, all night orders use the 8-pointed cross. Now, the Europeans have scared us, that's frightened us with our own stuff. They call that the Confederate flag. The Confederate flag our people see the Confederate flag as a symbol of hate, slavery, lynching, rape, murder, and they protest take that right now. Murder. I know I'm not making light of it, but I'm saying that the Europeans have taken that which is in its origin astronomical message.
Yes.
So that they're suppressing important knowledge.
Yep.
That's been preserved. So this galactic cross, there are statues, huge statues in Egypt, with armed cross, ankh in each hand.
Right.
So showing that they didn't come from the Europeans. As the Europeans have distorted imagery and symbols so they can take the power from it. They've done it with the goat and bull. The golden bull is used as an ancient sacred symbol of fertility, representing the moon calendar and the moon. And we use the bull or the goat because of the shape of the horns, the crescent shape of the horns. The Europeans today distorted it and made it gory and called it the devil. So that which is sacred, symbolizing fertility, womanhood, power, and the moon, has now been what? Distorted and bastardized and presented to the world as a symbol of evil. So the world now sees our sacred image as a symbol of the cause of the world's evil. Give the Europeans a hand. They called it the devil. That image. And I show in chapter 3 of my book, Masonic Company Square and the Connection to Timekeeping and Measurement, archaeological evidence of the predominant use of the moon calendar and the Venus calendar and the crescent with amulets and bracelets, statuettes with the crescent-shaped moon, the symbol of the goat. So this was preserved and honored when the moon calendar was used in many societies throughout the world.
Yep. The Mayan calendar. The Mayan calendar is a calculation table. There's a calculation table in the Mayan calendar, calculating the lunar cycles and also Venetian cycles. So the ancient Arabic order of the Nobles of the Mystic Shrine, now they changed their name to Shriners International, placed the Moorish scimitar above the crescent and the star. Sometimes don't have it, they'll place through the crescent and the star or place above the crescent and the star. All right? And that representing that they're suppressing that ancient knowledge. So the key, now of course our brothers the brothers didn't do that. The Europeans established ancient epic order, the Nobles Mystic Shrine in 1872. The Prince Hall, the brothers, Moors classified as Negroes, black, colors, African Americans, established the ancient Egyptian Arabic order of the Nobles Mystic Shrine in 1891. What the brothers did adopt from the Europeans is the distortion where the crescent star is placed above the scimitar. The brothers didn't do that. The brothers just simply, copied. The only thing that the brothers did was copied how the Europeans presented the symbol. I mean, the symbol belongs to us. All of them, the crescent, the star, because crescent, the star is the moon. The crescent is the moon, and the star is Venus, the planet Venus. You're looking at a 260-day calendar. So we use Venus as a form of calendar. So this is used in different parts of the world, and I show that through archaeological evidence. I got references upon references, because I don't want to be made like I don't know what I'm talking about. I don't want nobody to say I don't know what I'm talking about, because I know that chapter would be the most challenging chapter to present to the world. I know that. My mom would hate me. I'm dead serious. She would hate me. You know, let's keep it real. I mean, that's because of indoctrination. That's indoctrination. The devil, the devil, the devil, the devil. I'm standing in front of you today saying that I love the devil. My mom will fall to the floor. I'm standing today, I will bow down to that image that they call the devil in front of my mom. My mom will faint.
Oh my God.
I'm talking about literally faint.
Wow.
Now why is that? Because of the indoctrination that's ingrained. They just made it gory, y'all. They took the goat and just made it gory. That's all. That's distorting it. Taking the power from it. So that which we use as a cornerstone of our society, the moon and Venus calendar, the fertility, the power, womanhood, they attacked. So that crescent and star, that Moorish scimitar placed is a form of attacking. So, what's your counter? Teach people who they are. Teach people its origin, that you mean. As you already said, in order to change the people, must change their literature. You can turn that off. Can you turn that off right now, Todd?
Yes.
Because that is blinding me. Thank you. I'll turn it down. Yeah, in order to change, in order to change the people, must change their literature. So I've done that and continue to do so. Now, the Knights Templar established in the early 1100s. That the Knights Templar, we fought the Knights Templar, the Moors, who were currently classified as black, and they were colored Latino, Spanish, Puerto Rican. Now the Knights Templar actually reorganized as the Order of Christ. The Moors ruled Portugal for 500 years. So the Knights Templar, began, you have what's called the Crusade from 1095 to 1235. It's called the Reconquista. The Europeans call it the Reconquista, or reclaiming control of Europe. Not only just Spain, because Moors didn't just control Spain. So that's this Moors in Spain. It's not just Spain. Portugal, Sicily, southern France for about 100 or so years. You had in other parts of Europe, Russia. All right. So there's an annual celebration in Spain called the Spanish Festival of the Reconquista, in your honor. Where's these African scholars at? Let me see where they at. I don't hear them talking about this. In your honor, there's a statue called the Statue of the Four Moors, the Monument of the Four Moors, in Livorno, Italy. Comessimo is at the top. In 1671, where we engage in battle with Comessimo. And there's a statue, it's called the Monument of Four Moors, and Moors are bounded and chained. Where's the African scholars at? I don't see them talk about this. Don't know who the Moors are? If I hear any historian, whether European or Moor, classified as black, negro, colored, say they don't know who the Moors are,
You know they love
then I would say to them that you're not qualified to be a historian. You can't tell me that you are a historian. I mean, that is your life's work. I mean, as your profession, as a profession, and say you don't know who the Moors are. The Moors control the world.
Yep.
The world. Cordova was the educational center of the entire world.
Exactly.
You don't know who the Moors are? Of the entire world. Not Europe. Not of Europe, of the entire world.
Yep.
So, our knowledge still reign. You can't go to school and learn European anything. I'm not talking about the lies about the history. That's it. Learn European what? Chemistry? Oh, they ain't called physics, botany, horticulture, medicine. European, what European curriculum? What university? Somebody tell me, anywhere in the world where European curriculum is taught. Anywhere. Somebody give me some university. Anywhere in the world, tell me anywhere in the world where European curriculum is taught. Anywhere. Not taught in Europe. Because it don't exist. What European curriculum? I don't know no European curriculum. Or what I do know is European taking credit for our stuff.
Yeah.
I know that. What I do know that Michelangelo was commissioned to paint, to create European images. So as they're rewriting history, writing us out, so you see pictures of what they call the saints, they look like European. No, they look like us. We're the saints. We're the saints of Europe.
Yep.
The saints of Europe look like people in this room. The saints of all of Europe look like people in this room. We're the saints of all Europe. They distorted history. So I'm going to be spending a lot of time, of course not today. I have chapter 1 of Masonic Compass Square book, where I go into history of the Night Orders. As I said, the Night Orders fought against us, Knights of Malta, Knights of St. Stephen's. These orders are big today. The Knights of St. Stephen's has 80 chapters in the world.
Yep.
And is well entrenched with the United Nations. 80 chapters in the world. The Knights of St. Stephen's, Knights of Malta. Knights of Malta established in 1048 under the Knights of St. John's of Jerusalem. Changed his name to the Knights of Hospitaller, to the Knights of Malta. All right? The Knights of Malta changed the name to Knights of Malta in 1531. There's an island of Malta, was a strategic place militarily where they fought against the Moors. And they were, in that honor, they were called the Knights of Malta.
Yes.
Knights of St. John's of Jerusalem, to Knights of Hospitaller, now currently the Knights of Malta. It's all about us.
Yes.
Once again, where are these African scholars at? So we're looking at these night orders. Yeah, there's charity. They do charity today. But that's not why they were established. Why were the night orders established? To fight against the Moors, the Reconquista, the Crusades. The night orders were established during the Crusade period of between 1095 to 1235. To bring the Moors down. All right? So, the Order of the Christ, the Knights Templar reorganized as the Order of Christ. Vasco da Gama was a member of the Order of Christ. Knights Templar. Same order. Prince Henry, the Navigator, Order of Christ. All right, so this Order of Christ, Knights Templar reorganized as the Order of Christ. Instead of taking to the horseback, they took to sea and continued to fight the Moors on sea. What I'm talking about today is current. These orders still exist. To maintain the power. Not being able to connect the past to the present. Echoes of Moorish history. Echoes of Moorish history. All right? So I just wanted to, touch on that real quick. So I'll get right into the main lesson. As much as I, drop some information about the Knights, I'll do. So we're not viewing them as some charity orders. They have nothing to do with us. They have everything to do with us. That they were organized to fight against us. All right, not the night orders over there. They have everything to do with us. All right. Now, today's lesson is titled Etymology and Semantics. The difference between, we can hit Taj. Etymology and Semantics. The difference between true meaning and meaning. Now, why do you title that? The difference between, as a subtitle, true meaning and meaning. What is true meaning? I've never heard of true meaning, though I've heard of meaning. We'll say, well, this word means this, and this word means that, and, I thought it meant this, but you never hear true meaning or etymology. What is this etymology? What is this origin? What is the true meaning of the word? All right, so I wanted to, so that we can explain this true meaning and meaning. Now, I'm going to read something written by his name. He's a constitutional lawyer. The original meaning of the dollar. The original meaning of the dollar. This is 3 paragraphs from the article, Original Meaning of the Dollar. Bavarian, I think his name is Bavarian. An interpretation of the term dollar as signifying merely the label the Constitution gives to whoever Congress decides to make the unit of money, if consistently applied to the other undefined terms in the document, would render the Constitution nonsensical. Let me read that again. An interpretation of the term dollar as signifying merely the label the Constitution gives to whatever Congress decides to make the unit of money, if consistently applied to other defined terms in the document, would render the Constitution nonsensical. What that means is that if Congress can arbitrarily decide what the word dollar is or what any other term is, it would render the Constitution nonsensical. Congress does not have that authority to decide arbitrarily what any word means. All right? For example, the noun year appears repetitively in Article 1, particularly in Section 2, Clause 1. The House of Representatives shall be composed of members chosen every second year, end quote. And Section 3, Clause 1, quote, the Senate of the United States shall be composed of 2 senators from each state chosen by the legislature thereof for 6 years. Self-evidently, the framers used this term with the presumption that everyone would implicitly understand it to mean the time the earth actually requires from one complete revolution around the sun, rather than a mere empty shorthand for a unit of time within the discretion of Congress to adopt or change. Yet, if the word dollar need have no fixed historical ascertainable meaning, neither need the word year. The principle of constitutional interpretation is precisely the same in both cases. Meaning that in both cases, for the word year and for the word dollar, it has a fixed historical ascertainable meaning. Not arbitrarily decided year after year, or every 6 years, or every 10 years, or every 20 years. All right? Gotta go back to it. And if the noun year need have no fixed, and if the noun year need have no meaning more fixed than the noun dollar does it in present-day monetary statutes, as discussed above, then Congress could enact laws redefining the year so as to extend, for instance, the terms of the House and Senate to 10 years, 20 years, 100, or any number of earthly revolutions. Of course, Congress may, with constitutional propriety, appoint astronomers, physicists, and other qualified experts to determine with scientific precision what the year actually is. Congress lacks authority, however, to decide for itself what the year ought to be or declare the year to be whatever Congress may arbitrarily desire from time to time. Analogously, Congress may, with constitutional propriety, appoint economists, monetary historians, and other experts to determine with climametric and other accuracy what the dollar actually was in the late 1700s. In fact, this is what Congress did do under both the Articles of Confederation and the Constitution. Congress has no authority, however, to decide for itself what the dollar ought to be. Words must have a fixed, historical, ascertainable meaning. Well, in this context, it means this. Well, in this context, we got to watch context clues. Remember, pay context clues. Because the context clues determine the meaning. Bull crap. Bull crap. Bull crap. That's connotation.
That's right.
That's connotation. You talk about context clues determining the meaning. You're talking connotation. Context don't determine the meaning of dollar. We got context clues, because the meaning of dollar will change based on its context. Oh yeah, see, Context clues. You gotta pay attention to context clues. See, because the meaning of a year changes based on context. You've been taught that. Where did that come from? The general semantics movement. Give him a hand. The general semantics movement. Give him a hand. Give them a hand. 1930, the general semantics movement. The general semantics movement. Give him a hand, y'all. Give him a hand. 100 years ago, judges used etymology. Judges, 100 years ago, used etymology as a basis to render decisions. Now, in question, Abdullah Bey, why not now? The general semantics movement, give me a hand. The general semantics movement, nothing just happens. It takes power, finance, and influence. Nothing just happens. Judges 100 years ago used etymology, and not today. What happened? This, well, it means this in this statute. This in this statute. Where did that come from, though? We're just accepting it. We're accepting it. Because we don't have the basis to which to analyze the truth. They can arbitrarily decide whatever they want to decide.
Ironically.
There are two schools of thought. There are Supreme Court justices who are constructionalists, and there are others who are originalists. What's the difference? All right. You have a blueprint to this building.
Yes.
Now, an originalist will consult the blueprint. All right? Let's use an analogy. Consult the blueprint as a basis to which make decisions. A constructionalist position is, well, society changes, and we have to adapt meanings according to the change of society. And this is huge debate. It's been going on for over 100 years with the commerce, the definition of commerce. The original meaning of the Commerce Clause by Randy Barnett, Georgetown University, constitutional lawyer, law professor. The original meaning, look it up, the original meaning of the Commerce Clause by Randy Barnett. He chronicles his experience because Randy Barnett simply read his predecessors or his colleagues' work. So he took the position, as many others, that commerce can have this elasticity. Anything that's any gainful activity. And it wasn't until Randy Barnett read the minutes of the Constitutional Convention, the Federalist Papers, for himself. And he shall know in any reference to commerce, not have any meaning of any meaningful gains, as commerce means trade. So the originalists, the constructionalists, let me go back, and these are Supreme Court justices playing this political football. And they've taken the word commerce and out of its strictest sense and broaden its meaning connotatively to now include agriculture. Niagara land, culture, till. So they're using political game, this political football with our lives.
Yes.
People don't know, meanings change. But meanings change. Words are inanimate. They're inanimate. There has to be somebody or some group that orchestrates that. So, if you don't know the original meaning, which most people don't, there you're relying on what you see was been presented to you today. So you people go to the dictionary, and you have in the dictionary, erase this for me, please. Erase it like that. You see the eraser?
Yeah.
All right. No, don't worry. I need you to erase it. Don't pick those up right now. Appreciate it. I need to get going. That's what I'm saying. You were trying to pick those up. I just need you to erase
I
it.
did it before.
No, I'm saying I just need you to, yes, I'll keep going. I keep it flowing. There you go. Thank you. There you go. Appreciate it, brother.
All right, what original word did
All right. Etymology. Etymological brackets. All right. Appreciate it, bro. Thank you. All right. Etymological brackets. All right. All right. Entry. Let's see the stairs. So, level, meaning. All right. Now, most people are aware of the entry level. Children are too. The entry level meanings. All right. They're not aware of the etymological brackets, so they're not. There's no comparative analysis here. There's never a comparative analysis. This is not even discussed in the classroom. All right. So this is groomed. About over 10 years ago. This will be my etymology semantics book coming out later on this year. I decided to do as part of my research and developing lessons for my etymology class, and I'm constantly developing lessons. I'm constantly thinking, constantly working, constantly, expanding. I decided to do what I call, this is coming from me, a comparative analysis of dictionaries, where I would take a word like slave, dollar, or moon, and I would follow that particular word, for example, slave, through a period of time. I had my oldest dictionary, 1929, and I would have 1940, 1950, 1960, 1970. So what I observed and doing this comparative analysis is that in the older dictionaries, the first entry in the older dictionaries are closer to its etymology. Mm-hmm. All right? Then you're going general semantics movement. So I started now. Mr. Lyle told me about the general semantics movement a couple years ago. I went back to my lesson here. I said, what's going on in society? So now you go into older 1950s and 60s, and we will see that the first entry is dropped down maybe to the 7th. I just simply observed that. I'm just going through it, and I didn't know what I was going to find or observe. All right? I said, oh, wow. So and then you begin to see in 1980s and 90s or forth, where in the entry level, the etymology and the entry level is removed all together. All right? In the entry level, you have for the word dollar. In my 1939 Webster's into the New Webster's International Dictionary. They'll give the etymology of the word dollar, silver coin, drachma scholar, silver coin, village. And then that meaning is in the first entry. All right? So I follow that. Then I begin in the 1970s, I start seeing paper money. I don't see paper money in the 1939 Webster's Dictionary. I don't see paper money. And then what? They drop in paper. So, oh shucks. So this was gradual. This is a gradual dumb down. And I was able to observe that through dictionary study skills. By analyzing, taking the same word, taking one word, and following that through various dictionaries for a period of time. So, see, it can't be abrupt. If you want to dumb down the society, because you remember, you got people who are living. People who are living, you talk about the 1920s, people knew they were walking around with silver gold dollars. Silver gold dollars on, that's, silver gold, oh yes. And so it has to be gradual. And as they die off, and, they get older and they die off. And here we are, 2018, and people think that money's printed. When the word print does not at all is appeared in the Constitution. No. Printing money, how you print coin? You coin money, but print money, I don't know how that goes. All right? So you got to deal with today. Well, I understand why people would say that. We're not used to ruling. You got to keep in mind, we're subjugated. So we think like that. We think there's nothing we can do. Just go along and get along. We don't have knowledge about history, nationality, birthright, culture, etymology, epistemology, jurisprudence. That's not taught in our communities. I'm talking about people with degrees. It's like we have a very, 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 very limited education. And I know that we think we are because we have degrees. But those principles that govern civilization and rulership and governance, we don't have that knowledge. Of course, we once did because we ruled and we taught the Europeans. We ruled over the Europeans. And be clear about when I say we ruled over the Europeans, so I want to clarify that. This Moors conquering Spain BS. All right, let me clear this. Moors conquering Spain. What was that like before the Moors? Roderick, the Visigoths, was despotic. People starving. Didn't take baths. Stinking. Dying of diseases by the tens of thousands. What we the Moors do? What we do? Do we conquer or what do we do? We civilize. Is that a conquering?
No.
The Visigoths calling for the Moors. Help. It's not a conquering. They need to clap for us. Give us credit, which they're not doing. We saved him. We saved him. I'm saying we literally saved him. But they call that a conquering. Call it a compliment. And we save you bucks. Right? Ask any European who talks that crap. What was it like before the Moors? That's all I was doing. Let's talk that first. Let's talk before the Moors. Let's talk that. Oh, it was great, and it was what? Very few bathhouses. Moors built libraries, universities, paved roads, street lights. Yes.
Islam. I recently saw a documentary about the bathhouse, some of the like the public, the way
bathhouse, yes.
the bathroom. They said that they used one sort of a rag on a stick, and everybody had to use the same rag on the stick to clean themselves after they did number 2 in these. That's how they lived. And it was on television. I saw it recently.
No, that's real talk. That's real. Yes, it's like diseases. That's why they was infested with diseases. So talk that first.
They thought funk was perfume.
Yes. They saw being stinking as an act of piety. This is serious. I know it sounds so out there because you're going by today. I know it's like, because you don't know any Europeans who stink like that. I'm talking about stink. I'm talking about, Bubba. They wouldn't be able to work in the workplace, Bubba. I'm telling you, there's no way that if Europeans don't like that, and as soon as they walk into a workplace, Bubba, trust me, that ain't happening. You talk about people fainting, getting sick. So they don't stink like that. They don't stink like that. I'm talking about where when they walk into the room, you drop. Now, you can't. Now, no one in here want to tell me because I wouldn't believe you anyway. So don't even mention it because I wouldn't believe you anyway. That you work with a European like that. I wouldn't believe you. I'm talking about stink. When you would drop when they walk into the room. That's how they were stinking.
That was pious.
And that was an act of piety.
Yep.
And they got a nerve to say the Moors conquered Spain. Yes.
A viewer suggested that you watch the movie Perfume or get the book, I think they said book, called Dirt.
Oh yeah, I heard about that. One of my last semester, one of my students, my etymology students, told me about that book. Dirt. Yeah, it chronicles what I'm talking about. Yes. Yeah, Dirt. Yeah, thank you for reminding me about that. Because I actually had forgotten the title of that book because he had written down, lost it, but definitely Dirt.
And the movie Perfume.
And the movie Perfume.
$80 to $100 on that book.
Oh, that's good. That's all right. I'll pay it.
Oh yeah, I'm saying trying to hide it.
Yep. So I'll continue. So I just wanted to. So we're looking at meaning and true meaning. So we'll say that if I ask you what the word slave means, or what you would ask your family members or co-workers or friends or whomever, the general public, what does slave mean? Of course, they look like you crazy. What do you mean? You don't know what slave means? They'll be those to be surprised that you're asking them that, as if to say you don't know what a slave is. Yo, brother, man, your ancestors were slaves. They will say that to you because they're now bewildered that you don't know the meaning of slave. And guess what? They don't know the meaning of slave. Let's go back to the dictionary, study search. All right, study skills. You look up, you do a dictionary analysis of slave over a period of 100 years. You'll see the etymology in its brackets. And you'll see
references to Slavic people down here. In an old edition, you'll see one who's put in servitude, bond, oppressed. That's not the true meaning. And the true meaning is today's meaning. Now, they'll call this, what I'm doing, etymological fallacy. What they define as an etymological fallacy is one who, like myself, will use the original meaning of a word, will state that the original meaning of a word is its current meaning. They will say that is an etymological fallacy. That how can you say that a people of Slavic descent, slave, right? This is the Eastern European nationality, Baltic states, Croatia, Hungary, the slaves. All right? So how can you say that this meaning is its current meaning? 2018. So my question would be to someone who would say what I'm saying is an etymological fallacy, is what you're saying based in epistemology. What is the basis? See, you ain't going to say that back to me. What is the basis on which you come? What is your foundation by which you draw your conclusion? You are drawing a conclusion by saying that it's an etymological fallacy to state that the etymology of a word, its original meaning, is its current meaning. By which, how did you draw that conclusion? What steps did you take in which you drew that conclusion? Is that based in epistemology? How does one acquire knowledge? Or is that arbitrarily decided? It's here to teach you how to think. All right? How to think. So you'll look that up, etymological fallacy. You'll see that definition. All right? So, is it an etymological fallacy to state that a dollar is a silver coin or gold coin? Is that an etymological fallacy to state that the current meaning of dollar, is that an etymological fallacy? And if it is it based in epistemology, historical research? Or is that an arbitrary decision? Ask these questions.
Arbitrary because it always means a gold coin.
Always.
Yakum dollar.
Which comes from Dale, which means value.
The etymological fallacy, and that's the problem.
Here's Mike.
Mike.
Hold it.
Oh, you need a mic, though.
My job. I'm
So it
sorry.
goes into the camera. People got people that you need a mic.
Now you're going to blow in it, right?
Yeah. Very brother. Hit it.
Etymological fallacy versus, what did you say before? The one you said is etymological. What is the definition of etymological fallacy?
All right. You got your phone?
Yeah.
I'll get you to look it up on your phone. I'll give it to you. But look it up on your phone. I want you to read it. I want you to read. I want you to Google etymological fallacy. I want you to read what comes up. All right. I'll explain it. When you look at it, because I know what it is. So I'm going to explain it again. All right.
what they're saying, claiming
That's
that
what
etymological fallacy, and we're gonna be clear, is that one who, like myself, who claims that the original meaning and its true meaning is its current meaning. They're really saying in essence that you can't use etymology. You can't use an etymological meaning as its current meaning. They call that an etymological fallacy.
That is treason.
You can't say that a slave is a people of Slavic descent and say that means that today.
It doesn't.
No, it doesn't mean that today.
No, that's what they presented.
Yeah, they're presenting that it doesn't. That this meaning for slave doesn't apply today. That it would be an etymological fallacy.
Oh.
That you would confuse the people. I'm not confusing people. Whoa. So they look at constructionalists, keep in mind, general semantics movement, people have been groomed into connotations. It ain't just happened, fam. Nothing just happens. Just like the solfeggio scale, A432, was predominantly used. The Germans, this was done with power and finance. With orchestrated the suppression of the natural sound of A432 and forced into the general society A440, done in concert by international societies. Nothing just happens. Power and organization. Moors didn't just fall. The night orders were funded by aristocrats. They were well funded. And the infighting among us. So it's the combination of our infighting and the unity among Europeans, organizing, raising finance,
Yes.
establishing night orders.
Yes.
The infighting among us weakened us. So when you're talking about like the powerful Moors, tremendous power. All right, go ahead, we hit it, man.
All right. What the wiki one?
I want whatever you have, bro.
The etymological fallacy is a genetic fallacy that holds that the present-day meaning of a word or phrase should necessarily be similar to its historical meaning. This is a linguistic misconception. And sometimes.
All right, let me stop there. So they're saying that they're saying that that's a misconception. Read it again. Read that part again.
This is a phrase should necessarily be similar to its historical meaning. This is a linguistic.
No, start from the beginning.
The etymological fallacy is a genetic fallacy that holds that the present-day meaning of a word or phrase should necessarily be similar to its historical meaning.
All right, so that's what I'm saying. That's me. That's Abdullah Bey. That's Abdullah Bey. Abdullah Bey saying that. That's Abdullah Bey rocking with that. I'm rocking with that. All right? Now talk about what they say about that. Go ahead.
This is where the curve comes in. This is a linguistic misconception.
Linguistic misconception. Go ahead.
It is sometimes used as a basis for linguistic prescription.
All right.
What?
Slave. All right.
Spit.
If I say, may I bring someone from Hungary? Hear this, and I'll say, how you doing, slave?
Not Slav.
Oh, they Someone from Hungary?
All I'm saying, but I was.
No, someone from Hungary.
Okay.
They're slaves. Baltic states, they're slaves. Right? Yugoslavia, Czechoslovakia, all right? Croatia, those are their slaves. And you call them that, you wouldn't be insulting them. Now, someone who doesn't know among them may be insulted. Then of course you would have to school. All right? Now, the claim is that it is impossible, I'm not making this claim, that it's impossible to use etymology today because people are groomed with the connotations. And so if you use slave in its etymological sense, that will confuse the general public. So I should go along with the distorted meanings and never raising people up. If I don't start now, when? In 20 years. If not now, when? If not now, when? Duali said what? In order to change people, you need us. There you go. So I would never acquiesce to that. If not now, when? Got people walking around claiming saying that a dollar is a piece of paper. How'd that happen? It wasn't walking around in the early 1900s saying that. 1800s, 1700s, 16, 15, 13, 12. In fact, if you do research, I've come across through my research for chapter 3 of the Masonic Conference Square book, the distortion of the devil, the distortion of the goat. And you see, I see a lot of coins that were found throughout the world with crescent moon and star. Yep. Coins. A couple thousand years old. I'm saying we have a very, very, very limited education. I mean, what our people have can't raise our people up.
You got that right.
They can't raise our people up. Those degrees they got, they can't raise up here. PhDs, I don't care what it is, they can't raise our people up. They can't raise our people up with what they have. They have connotations, distortions. Mm-hmm. Negative law. All right? Now we have the word color. Let's look at the word color. All right, color. We are people of color. You've heard that all your life. People continue to say that. We are people of color. Now, so someone's going to tell me I can't use this meaning, color, to hide or conceal. I can't use that meaning today. Today, color means complexion, skin tone. And look at these crayons. Coloring book. I use crayons to color. Look, they're coloring. No, they're not. Oh, yeah. Do you know your colors? Red, blue, pink, orange. See how it's used today? Now, how did that happen? People think that people of color because of complexion. They associate the word color to complexion. How did that happen? Is that based in epistemology? When did that happen? Color means to hide or conceal the legal meaning. Now you see how it connects to its legal meaning? Assumption, a pretext, a simulacrum, fiat, fake, distinguished from that which is real, artificial, a simulacrum. What does that have to do with complexion?
Especially when we out.
What does that have to do with complexion? All right? Now, our people with these degrees, right?
Yes.
Now, how they gonna help our people? You tell me. Come on, the degree ones, how they gonna help our people? They speak the same language. Black folks, people of color, you know. All right, so we have that. This was very good. This went over very well in class. You know, one of my students, she first had a challenging time and grasping it, but she eventually did. You know, and it's understandable because we've been ingrained, you know, for so long since childhood. So I can't expect someone who's 25, 30, 40, 50, whatever age, you know, to be like this. When they've been ingrained and you're telling them that red and orange and blue and are not colors. This man has lost his mind. I don't know why I signed up for this class. Man, shucks. Yes. Question, comment, criticism.
Question is, to what you're saying, people having difficulty seeing things differently. When you have scholars, or so-called scholars, historians, trying to keep us in the ancient black this and the, you know, those various, no, I've had some discussions, but when that's what they're, and these people are revered, how do you begin, what must we do to begin to change the mindset of a people who've actually lived through these changes and seemingly have done it subliminally, not realizing, or thinking rather, that every new descriptive is a leg up when it's getting further and further away from who we truly are?
Well, you have the answer to that because you have this class. This class is a vehicle by which this can be done. I mean, you know, just an example. Let's talk about it because you asked me how can it be done. You're doing it. You're doing it. All right? And offering this class. You expanding the class with this, you know, by live streaming it.
Right.
So you're doing it. All right? I'm just trying to make it as plain as I can.
That's me, but I guess
No. I know. I was just using you because you asked the question.
Okay.
I'm saying I'm using you because you're doing it. All the people are doing it as well. Production of literature. Taj and I have been writing for years. I mean, that's how it's done. I mean, I can't wave something in air and just, you know what I'm saying? This takes work. Do all these things to change people must change the literature. It's be doing it. It's part of the process.
And people are asking too, but outside of class, you know, they want, I mean, the everyday person who may not have an audience like I do, or you do, or who's just dealing, you know, through life, how do we begin to change that language and that mentality of people who have lived through all of these changes and still haven't bothered to think, wait a minute, why am I all these different, descriptives or adjectives.
All right. You see that man right there? His name is Dr. Bey. He taught me. 1993, October 1993, I met him. Jimmy's Barbershop at Camden, New Jersey. Now, in the summer of 1995, less than 2 years later, I put out a newsletter called the Moors Civil Letter. It was 8.5 by 11. Came out of my own pocket. 8.5 by 11. It's paper, And I printed them at Staples. No, it was Kinko's. What's it called? Office Max. It was Office Max back then. I was working as a supervisor of foster care parents in Philadelphia. And Sister Nana, she suggested I get a P.O. box. I didn't have a P.O. box on the newsletter. So I put a P.O. box, got a P.O. box. And about 3-4 months later, got my first letter from someone from a brother in prison. I was getting letters. I got over 200 letters.
A very popular case too.
Yes, it was. Very popular.
Yes, it was. Yes, a very popular case looked at by criminal scholars around the world. As a matter of fact, he was known. And many articles were written about that brother.
Yeah, I wrote articles. And people were using the information to establish classes. And we put out Taj's books. Lesson book number 1, lesson book 14. I sent the books to prison. And we were sending books. I was making copies, and sending books with our own expense. And then when we put the paper out, 2001, I wanted to start. We were sending the papers. And people were, the brothers, it was brothers. I got Wisconsin, Michigan, West Kentucky, Western Pennsylvania, over 200 letters, and they, writing back, thanking us, asking for more material, how they were developing, how they actually established classes because they had literature. It was the literature that allowed them and inspired them to establish classes in the prison. This is why I'm not making this up. He tell you right there, I showed Todd every letter. So we discussed every time I got a letter, I would call Todd, would see it, he would read it and everything.
Interjection.
Yes. More, I want you to, Ben, what you did because you was there.
Interjection. It was a point that we had about 2 suitcases full and a box full of little releases of mail coming back, and we couldn't even keep up with it.
We was trying to go as fast as coming out of our pocket. Sending papers and sending books. Yes. And I would think that's a way right there.
Can I interject again?
Yes.
That brother used the information that we had, and he got himself out of prison.
Sure
and
did.
He was a celebrated case going through for years. Lawyers, the whole thing. And they used lesson 14 concepts that we presented and got himself out of prison. And he was writing duly, thanking him, etc. Yes. And he woke up a lot of other people in prison.
That's Sitaj's book, certificate number 2A12222141, Civic Relations Concept, Moorish Civic Relations Concept. That's book number 4 that was published in 1996. Yes.
Islam. I will say that does actually help. I remember a couple years ago, it was a brother who was behind those prisoner of war camp walls down near the Okeechobee Corporation, and he had requested that book, and I had sent it to him. So it's definitely Moors behind enemy lines that is definitely studying that book in particular, Islam.
So we work with getting that book, reprinted into glossy cover, red binding, treaty, because that talks about the treaty, peace and friendship, Truth Aid 1, consular courts, very good book. And I've seen for myself over the years the effect literature has. I'm the horse, talking to the horse. The horse right there too. We know firsthand what literature can do. It's It's a matter of getting more of it, and we're doing that. I'll be issuing my book, my newspaper called Masonic Aid, and printing out 50,000 at a time. I already got distributors. Well, the paper will be what's called split mailing. You know, I have New York, and I have a distributor set up. So it's a way. It's an effective way. You got to do more of it. That's all. Do more of it. 50,000, 100,000, 200,000. Just do more of it. Expand the distribution. Do more of it. That's all. I mean, I don't know. Just do more of it. Expand it. But this is excellent. And that you have the live stream, more people have access to it. My last class was viewed by over 7,000 people. They're not live, but because people can go back and look at it, and it goes and it's posted, and people post it on their Instagram, and Facebook, and so forth. So my last class I did here was viewed by over 7,000 people. I think that's pretty good. I mean, I'm not going to speak at that. All right, so you're doing it. Give Sister Dr. Nailah a hand, please. The one who asked that question, I trust one day that they do something that I produce some literature. I don't expect people to do what I do. I mean, I'm books and 20 years of research and finance and going broke, and I don't expect them to do what I do. But I do expect them to do something. Because this ain't just my birthright, Taj's birthright. This is theirs, this is mine. It ain't like more of mine. Oh, no. This is their birthright just as well as it's mine. All right? Any other questions? Yes, brother.
Just listening to you and to Dr. Nailah's question. For a person who's not in a position to do the books or a live stream, I'm thinking about what I could do when I go back home. I have 4 children. 2 of them are grown, 2 of them are not grown. 2 of them are teenagers. I can teach them about color. And I'm thinking, okay, what word would I put in that place when you're coloring in a color book, when you're hueing?
Shading.
You're shading. But you're not hiding anything.
No, shading would be,
No, I agree with you.
You're asking, replace the word, like for crayons.
That's something that everybody can do. That doesn't cost any money.
No.
I mean, you don't have to do anything like publish a book. Talk to your family.
No.
Make the family members think different.
That's
Make
how
your
I
spouse
started.
think. That's where you start at home.
That's how I started.
Yeah. So that's something everybody can do. Start today.
Now you got to keep in mind that I had to produce literature. You see that? You step in right there. There's no way that I can be with him and not write books. He's writing stuff. So I worked with him on Lesson Book 1 to 14, and he and I co-authored Lesson Book 5. So we talk about that. Inspiration came from him. So I was writing in college. I started writing. I was part of my school. I wrote for my school newspaper when I was at Glasgow State College, now on university. But as far as doing this type of writing, it's not the papers and college and all that. But there's no way you can be with this man right here. Ross Mariah, Annie, Miss Aline. I mean, look at the people. I mean, Second Law. There's no way you're going to produce. I mean, he's a writer.
Well, you have access to him, so to whom much is given, much is
No. I'm not. No, it's not. No, it's
No,
not.
what I'm saying.
No, it's not. No, hear me out, brother. No. Being around him inspired me to write. It's not just having access because of what he does.
Right.
It's like no way I could be with him and not produce books because that's what he does.
Mm-hmm.
Right, and I helped him with the lesson book, but we were together all the time. Yes. Yeah, so you don't have to necessarily have access to him to one day begin writing.
Right. Or to talk to your children.
To talk to your children. Yes.
It's a question. An online question. It's from Gerald Penrose. He says, why is it that we cannot go into the United Nations arguing our indigenous status opposed to going to their courts where they have jurisdiction over fictitious characters? don't you think we should take our argument to those who make decisions over the rights of people opposed to going into their courts where we have no status?
No, we can't go to the United Nations. One of the issues that over the years is just organizing Moors into Great Seal order. You know, that's the beginning process, and we had, you know, dealing with that over people the years, and people, you know, wanted to do their own thing and not adhere to the Great Seal principles of order with the Great Seal bylaws and Constitution, right? But that can be done, absolutely.
This is sort of one of those what I would call a right on time question, because we have here tonight Brother Bey, who's working on the restoration of consular courts.
Oh, you the brother that you
yes.
got your number. She got I got your number. I told her. Yes, because I said we issue, I have paper called Masonic Gate that I put out 2013 December. I'm going to be issuing that. What I'm doing, I'm adding to the header, Taj. I'm adding to the header of the Masonic Gate there, and the header has the Moorish compass and square.
Oh, can I?
All right.
Oh, sorry.
And then I'm adding to the header is the Moorish flag, the Moorish fez, and the Great Seal will be added to the header. That's being worked on. All right. And I'm going to be printing. I'm going to deal with an online printing company. I was dealing with a company in Bryn Mawr, New Jersey. We're dealing with a company, an online printing company, where they can print 50,000 copies. They can do split mailing. I can have 10,000 mailed to Cynthia, Houston, Texas. 10,000 mailed to Wayne. And these are people. I already talked to them. I already talked to them. My Masonic connection, 10,000. My Masonic connection in Chicago. So I already had that. So they'll sell distribution centers. There'll be distribution centers. All right. So I want to, actually work with you, please, so that we can see. But I said, because you brought that up, but I said last time is that we don't want, if you're doing the consular course, and have that be done in a vacuum. Where, we off to ourselves type thing. We want to inform the general public of who we are and what we're doing. Right. We don't want to do some secret, or not secret is the wrong word.
Clubism.
Mm-hmm. That was the word. I like that. Clubism. Yes.
Yeah, because yeah. All right. Thank you.
Literature is definitely important. That's why my brother do it. Because what tends to happen, especially when we're missing the literature that Prophet Noble Ali has expressly prescribed, some people do get in.
I can't bring you on camera because you're over there.
Oh, you want me to get on? Oh.
If you want to, but I just don't want to videotape all of the destruction.
Okay. It's fine.
It's all about angles.
I can't get you there.
Oh, that's fine. It's fine. So like when we mention the literature, and then you got people that will have like organizations. Somebody made a comment about USAR. Okay. So the elephant that's normally in the room is usually people's lack of really reading the material, because they're really still caught up in the emotional, help me, please, save me now, we want to do something physically because we're having a grown temper tantrum. So we create these clubs and stuff. Instead of going to the etymology and seeing what certain words are. Instead of actually knowing that when you talk about you want to see, why can't we go and talk to people and see why don't they do for us? Like, it just in that alone in concept, you're saying that someone else has say so over you. Just that's how I see it. Because if I'm standing on
question about United Nations, are you referencing the question posed by the United Nations?
No. I'm referencing when.
It's a good question.
No, it's definitely an awesome question. I'm talking about when it comes to. For example, okay.
All right.
I'll read this for you.
What?
All right. So someone commented when the United Nations one came up. All righty. Mm-hmm. And someone commented, must have our own state established. U.S.A.R. is our government in the USA.
charter/constitution, and it's someone's appellation there with a president in front of it.
Right.
So that's what I was actually speaking to.
I understand I understand what they mean in principle.
Right.
Because that's what we talk about Great Seal. They're pretty much saying what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Right.
I mean, in essence, they are. I mean, you know,
They need to be aware of it.
Right.
And brought into existing order.
Yes.
Thank
Not
you.
aware of.
Islam.
Yeah, that's pretty much what I said. In essence.
Yes.
Another question? The questions are good. See, because it's important to field questions.
I don't know what this one,
That's why I do this.
this particular question says, are our removals being honored? I'm not sure what that means.
They're talking about the writs.
Oh.
We talk, great removals.
Oh, removals, okay.
Being honored. Ty, you want to respond to that?
Yes. The writs of removal are a standard of operations. Now, what they're expecting, according to constitutional principle, in Article 3, Section 2, diversity, is moderators, chairman, grand sheiks, and sheikesses of the Moorish Science Temple of America to step up and to enforce the law representing the Moorish Divine and National Movement, not just the temples, the Moorish Divine and National Movement, relative to the consular principle and standard which was shut down by the German Dutchman Dwight D. Eisenhower in 1954. So the structure is in place. The problem that we've had is that persons in position have not carried out the missionary positions. As a matter of fact, it is part of that problem that we've had in the Moorish Divine National Movement as to why the Order of the Great Seal was even set up and registered in the Library of Congress so that they couldn't tamper with it, which they have shown a tendency to always try to modify or alter the works of the Prophet MOORS-MOORS-MOORISCH in order to make the people ineffective. And as a matter of fact, that was the nature of the operation of the Order of the Great Seal to enforce the Constitution for the United States as commanded by MOORS-MOORS-MOORISCH for all Moorish Americans, etc. And then also when you see in the Divine Constitutional Bylaws where it says, being Moorish Americans, we are part and parcel of this said government and must live the life accordingly. And so what has occurred is while many Moors that I've known over the years in the Order of the Great Seal have successfully issued writs of removal and have had effect, I find that sometimes you'll see people that has taken some of the writs that we produced and tried to exercise them, and for whatever reasons have not had some successes. I think not being there all the time, a lot of times that the magistrates will test their competence in what they themselves are claiming, and then mixing very often by not having what I would call general association with active Moors who exercise jurisprudence. They probably, and very often unbeknownst to themselves, mix connotative linguistics and semantics, or things that they hear every day in what they call legal process, mixing it with a allodial republic order constitutional process, and it conflicts. Or when sometimes the magistrates, because they're really administrative clerks, that's what must be understood. And when they recognize that the aspirant before them is not aware of certain things and makes certain statements, they see that that person is really not competent in what you would call allodial law, not knowing that they're in a feudal jurisdiction. And also the administrative clerk's job is to exercise movement within the bond, that which is every case that applies from a traffic ticket onto any criminal case has a bond attached to it. And when the person becomes into that trading venue, because it's a trading venue, not really an Article 3 court. And it doesn't take long for the magistrate to recognize whether that person, natural before them, understands the venue that they're in. or that status and estate are equals. And very often the people have an issue of arguing liberties and then will start arguing privilege issues, which makes their argument incompetent. And I think a lot of times that occurs and they assume that the principle doesn't apply or doesn't work when actually they may be incompetent to their own argument.
I think that's a good answer.
Have a question? Before I go on to the next phase.
Oh, no. Nothing to, no. Someone asked, how do we enforce our Zodiac Constitution?
Brother Slaymore, how do we enforce our Zodiac Constitution? You know, today, together I was with Brother Slaymore. He came visit us. He came all from Atlanta. And we went to the City Hall, Philadelphia. And they had the raising of the Moorish flag today. And of course, they had dignitaries out there, ourselves out there, etc. The Zodiac is in the middle of the courtyard of City Hall. Of course, that's where they took our birthright. And it was a proclamation issued anyway. But this is the point in reference to your question. The Zodiac Constitution, it is the duty and responsibility of the nationals and the citizens of any government to enforce its fundamental covenant. It is their social duty. Therefore, the people must learn back the culture and be themselves. That is the enforcement. I think a lot of times the psychology of the training is to make someone else do something for you, when you yourself must be and do that, and then their response would be in kind. I think that is best for them to look at that. So the Zodiac Constitution is first in knowing yourself is logically, if you don't have the culture, if you have not been, in the domicile of the culture for any period of time, you go to someone who's skilled to have a chart read. That's standard to culture, so that your own biases and ego does not enter into what your perceptions are of what you think that you are. Not that you couldn't know, but usually our ego gets in front. So the mathematics and the geometry does not lie. Then you look at that, you look at your strengths, you look at your tendency, and that's constitution. That's your makeup. The salts, the phosphates, everything that your mother puts in you in the building this temple here. And then by that, you study also what is called the Hermetic laws, which are the phenomena of how things operate on the planet. And from that is built the Gnostic philosophies that we call religion. And by that, we deal with constitutional principles of ethics and harmonies, or what you call morals. And from maxims of law, and when you do the exercise of maxims, it's called stare decisis. And so when you look at how things operate, how they interchange, etc., you're just living and start studying and operating in harmony with nature, and that's the exercise of and the enforcement of Zodiac Constitution.
And you have here, continuing, laws of nature and nature's God. This is a principle that's imbued, that Europeans learned from us. It's placed in the Declaration of Independence. Laws of nature and nature's God. All right? As the foundation, law is nature's God, and laws of nature. I have once again here the Earth's cross and the galactic cross. So this, the Knights Templar using the tilted cross, going back to how do we, apply the Zodiac Constitution. The Zodiac Constitution is in the sky. All right? Our ancestors mapped out. All right? The 12 band. So the Constitution, the 12 bands of Zodiac. And so we lose that knowledge to chart the precession of equinoxes, time, measurement,
The Europeans learned these principles. It's not a European thing. It's not a I don't know a European thing. So I don't, that, when you say European thing, you throw me off. But I don't know. And they don't know a European thing. Right? It doesn't, there's no European thing that exists. They're simply taking our birthright and not giving us credit, for teaching them.
Death is a European thing.
We, and the concept of death, as the general public knows it, people know it today, did not exist in the ancient world.
I said theft.
Theft.
That's
But I was talking about a form of culture and development, because you're not developing. You're stealing. You're injuring. That's an injury.
Abdullah,
Yes.
the moon calendar, 13 sign calendar. Reflect on that a little bit. With Ophiuchus, the 13th sign, the guardian of divine feminine principle, and stuff like that.
All right. As I said to you, that the Mayan calendar, there's a calculation table. It's called the Dresden, the Codex of Dresden, or the Dresden Codex. Dresden Codex, Germans. The Royal Museum in Germany, in Dresden, Germany, took the codex, our calendar, and the calculation of tables of the moon and Venus to Germany in 1730. We governed ourselves with the knowledge of the cycles of the moon, time, and also the cycles of Venus. This was how we governed our society with this knowledge. Once again, laws of nature, nature's God. Going back to the devil and horns and cornucopia, and you have Satan, Saturn, all right, Capricorn, all right, Capra, all right. So you got corn, horns, Capricorn, goat horns, or horns of a goat. So you have the emphasis of horns. Press it, the statuettes and statues, anklets and bracelets. So going directly to your, just building up to your question, answering directly, laying the foundation, all right, that this was a way of life for us. Where time, our day started at night. You governed by the moon. You start your day at night. All right, so the number 7 both ties to Pleiades and the moon. So let's introduce that, because Pleiades was heavily used too and tied to agriculture. Pleiades is a constellation of 7 stars. So the number 7 and time, 7 days of the week. That's a moon calendar. Looking at the moon. 7 days in a week, that's tied to the moon. From the new moon to the first quarter moon, it's a 7-day time period. You can just look at it yourself, measure yourself. That's where the 7 days come in. So we use that and also that governs the tides, the menstrual cycles. The word menstruation means moon. Month means moon. All right, so this whole reference to moon is tied to our way of life, our whole culture, and Venus. So the woman and feminine principles was a basis of our society. The Europeans do use this knowledge. They project the male to you. But European males are not ruling with male energy. You can't, you can't rule. There's no such thing as ruling with male energy. It doesn't exist. You can't rule with male energy. I know that they're males, and you see on TV all the time. I know you see males on TV all the time. Just because the people think I don't know what I'm talking about. They looking at what they see on TV. They see males on TV. I'm talking about the energy that they're using that you don't know. I know males on TV and they're running stuff like that. But they're running it with male-female energy. And they're projecting this male crap to the public. Yeah. They deal with laws of nature and nature's God. For rulership. This ain't opinionated.
It's power.
This is, say it again, Doc?
It's power.
That's the only way you can access that is through the feminine energy. And this is why they what? Distorted the most sacred image, the goat, and presented to the world as the devil and said that that is the cause of the world's evil. They honor that. They honor that because they have the knowledge of what it is. They're playing y'all. They ain't playing me. They playing y'all. Don't you think they running stuff with some male energy? You can't run jack crap with male nothing. All right?
I just want to say they're not ruling, they're fooling
Right.
us.
We'll go with
They
that.
ruling, they fooling.
All right, so we're going to continue. All right, so Todd, you need to.
Yeah,
Did you go back to my screen.
Excuse me. Up or down?
At the top. I'm at the top. Yeah, there we go. Now we're going to go with this. All right, good. So we already have it up here. All right, so I've had this for years. This is from a book called Introduction to Language of Poetry, Chapter 6, The Connotation of Words. Connotation of Words. Chapter, I've had this for years. I found this in one of the books that I came across at Rutgers University's Introduction to Language of Poetry. And what I was doing at that time, in 2003, was finding anything I could on connotation and denotation. So that was my beginning to understand that concept, because I didn't understand the concept of connotation, denotation. That's something that I didn't get in school. So the connotation of words, I'm going to just bear with me here, because I read this here, and we're going to break it down. The denotation of a word consists of the set of characteristics that an object, concept, action must possess to be so labeled. All right, I'll break everything down as I go. Chair. Read this again, we'll go right to this. The denotation of a word consists of the set of characteristics that an object, chair, object, concept, action must possess to be so labeled. All right, so like this, table. So I can point to a table. All right, got a table over there, got a chair here. So what makes this a chair? What makes this object a chair? It has to have certain qualities to make this a chair. All right? Back. All right? 4 legs. Seat. So if we have this table over here, is that a chair?
No.
Because it doesn't meet the qualities of a chair. All right? Yes.
But one might argue that you could sit on that table as you can a chair.
You sit on top too.
Yeah. But I'm saying you could sit on the table.
Sit on the ground too.
Yeah. I'm just saying it.
All right. But sitting is not a quality that determines whether it's a chair.
Okay.
That's not a quality that determines whether it's a chair. Because you are right, one can sit on the chair. And
On
this
the
is
table.
good. No, this is good. Please, this is good. One can sit on the chair.
Table.
But what are the qualities that make the chair? This is why I'm going, because this is very good exercise. You'll see this. Let's follow me now. You're gonna love this.
Okay.
Y'all gonna love me. Y'all gonna love me after I get this done. Just bear with me. Be patient. I don't need you. All right. I'm not gonna fill too many questions. I'm not gonna fill too many questions because I want to be able to get through this. I want y'all to love me after I get through this because y'all gonna love me when I break this stuff down.
We love you,
All
Nick.
right. All right. So okay, go ahead. Phil, I'll fill that question. Go ahead.
No, I was asking, was your question asking, and I may be being too nerdy, what constitutes a chair specifically?
Specifically.
Okay.
What qualities does it have to call it a chair?
Okay, so can we say, like you said, 4 legs, a seat, and back support for someone to be able to sit in it without falling and being able to sit still? Would that be what would constitute that? Yes or no? Islam?
Right. Well, we do the brother this.
Yeah, it could have 3 legs.
He brother mentioned that there are chairs that could have 3 legs.
See, that's what I thought too. That's what
Right,
I was
that's
saying.
what-
Yeah.
So for that to be,
Right.
to that be distributed as a chair, that's what we require of that.
So would that be a quadruped chair then, as opposed to a triped chair?
Because I have seen that with chairs. So
So you have
legs that can
How about
support
the
it.
use of it? How about the usage of it though?
All right.
Would that dictate also the usage? You know, to be able to rest one's body? Would that would be? Okay.
Hey, exercise.
You could do weights.
I can do that, right?
Yeah, it's done. It's done.
So, you know what I'm saying? So let me continue. All right. For example, anything called a cow must be a mammal. That is, it must give milk to its young. It must have 4 legs and a tail. It must ruminate its curd, etc. These are parts of the denotation of cow. Attributes without which something cannot be a cow. But there are other characteristics which are ordinarily attributed to cows. Plasticity, for example, and immobility, and stupidity. Now, a specific cow may not, in a given context, there go context again. A specific cow may not, in a given context, be placid or immobile or stupid. Think of cows fleeing from a bushfire, or think of a cow trained to do a circus act. Still, many people commonly associate plasticity, immobility, stupidity with cows, and that is what we mean when we say that cow, quote unquote cow, connotes these qualities. So cow connotes stupidity, immobility, all right? Connotes, not denotes. Connotes. I'm not done. We'll get it. Notice that the connotation of a word is much more heavily reliant. Oh, here we go. Here we go now. Pay attention now. Let me sit down now. Pay attention. Pay attention. Let me read this. Now pay attention. Notice that the connotation of a word is much more heavily reliant on the context than its denotation. General semantics movement. And it's context, but our focus is denotation. Because that is not reliant on context. A sun is a sun, whatever, however you ain't gonna change what a sun is. S-U-N, sun. Or based on its context, no. All right, this can be made clear by another example, the word ocean. Though a word may have connotations which are actually contradictory, ocean connotes both gentleness and roughness. Obviously, it cannot be gentle and rough at the same time. One or the other connotation will be blocked by context. The ocean rose up and sank the ship, blocks gentleness, while the sailboat lay immobile on the ocean, blocks roughness. Our dictionary definitions of words precisely equivalent to their connotations. Let us examine, here we go. Let us examine the following. Let us examine a few to see. The following definitions are from Webster's New World Dictionary. Cow, a familiar farm animal. We're going to talk about it, and we're going to analyze this now. Analytical skills. A familiar farm animal, domesticated for its milk, mature female of the ox family. Now you can take this one example and principles, it gives us principles of analysis, and you apply it to anything that you're dealing with. All right? A familiar farm animal domesticated for its milk, mature female of the ox family. All right? I'll be familiar. Not familiar. Here we go, familiar. This is a connotation, not a denotation, since it is not an essential property of cows to be familiar objects. They are part of the world where there are no cows. So this is connotation.
Critical thinking.
So does it got to be familiar to be a cow?
No.
So parts of the world don't know about it, so it's not a cow? Right, it's connotation. I told y'all I'm gonna love you when I get this done.
All right.
All right, farm animal. Farm animal. There are doubtless cows in the world that do not live on farms. So they're not cows? They're not cows? Because they don't live on farms? All right, farm. All right. Here we go. 3, domesticated. All right? It's not in the denotation if there is at least one wild cow in the world capable or easily domesticated. On the other hand, would be part of the denotation, since it is essential property of cows that they can be easily domesticated. For its milk. Similarly, is connotative, since there are doubtless cows in the world which are not expected to give milk. If the expression were mammary, however, it would be part of the denotation. So, if it was mammary, because cows are what? Females. All right? Mature, part of the denotation, since an immature cow is necessarily a calf. Female, an essential, hence denotative property. Male cows are bulls. Of the ox family, denotative, since it places cows in a class of animals, the ox or bovine class, which itself is the biological, hence memorably but essentially specific or denotative class. So this definition, this dictionary definition, is mostly denotative, although it does contain connotative elements. That is, elements not strictly essential to the makeup of the object referred to, but widely believed to be characteristic of. So when reading a definition, it's determining what is connotative and what is denotative. What is essential to this object? All right? And this is, having a lack of this knowledge is how they can sneak, this, we'll talk about the comparative analysis, and they, over a period of time, are sneaking in connotative references, and then it's being watered down, over a period of decades, where its essence is lost. And they also do that in Black's Law dictionaries.
Yes, they do.
Do a comparative analysis of all the editions.
Yeah.
Take one word, all right, and look at that one word in all 8 or 9 editions. And you'll see where I've done it, where synthesis are removed, essence of the meaning are not in the newer editions.
They removed, yes.
Yep. Any questions before I go on?
Cow, would it be because the cow is easily corralled or herded, which is why because it would mean in a verbial sense to intimidate? And as far as its root, or would that be?
So you're saying that has to occur in order for it to be a cow?
No, I'm asking. Has the name?
I was asking, was the name cow applied to that specific bovine or ox family specifically for the reason that it can be herded? Is my question.
You talking about how it's domesticated? What word are you talking about? Which word are you referring to?
Okay, as you're doing etymology, I'm actually looking at a resource online too, and I thought it was interesting in looking at the resource here and what you're saying. So I was wondering, in that, would the word cow itself be placed upon the bovine animal because it's easily herded? That was my question.
Does it have to be easily herded in order for it to be a cow?
Right.
I'm asking you. Does it have to be easily herded in order for it to be a cow? Is that an essential quality?
I don't think so.
Remember, we deal with denotation. Understand
right.
Denotation and connotation.
Right.
Denotation, that must be essential quality in order for that object to be that. All right?
Right.
So we're looking at essential qualities. What makes a dollar a dollar?
Okay. You want me to answer?
What makes a dollar a dollar? What qualities, what essential qualities must it have in order for it to be a dollar?
I'll take a chance here. The fact that it could be 371.25 grains of silver.
There you go, bro. It's weight.
Yeah.
It's weight.
Which is a 0.773.
1/4 of that is what? A quarter. 1/10 of that is what?
A dime.
1/20 of that is what? 1/2 of that is what? All right, so it's this weight. It's the central quality. And that weight is determined. Now keep in mind, you have the mill, the Moorish mill.
Yes.
The weight of the dollar was determined by the Moorish mill. Now keep in mind, you had coinage in place for centuries. The Moors ruled the world. So, once again, what we did is still reigning. It's just we don't know who we are. That's all. All right. Let me continue here. All right. So we have. Let me just here. Notation. All right. Connotative meanings are developed by the community and do not represent. Here it is. Connotative meanings are developed by the community and do not represent the inherent qualities. Inherent qualities. Write that down. Inherent qualities of a thing or concept originally signified as the meaning. So what is this inherent qualities? Doesn't change. The inherent qualities is not determined by context.
Right.
It's like trying to get this context clue stuff throwing at us. It's connotation. You're talking connotation, all right, rhyme with your context clues. But the denotation, the inherent qualities of a thing doesn't change based on its connotation, its context. This is not taught, man. Trust this context clue stuff. This is not taught, and they'll talk but it's this taught is something that's best. So I'm talking about European communities. Let's talk about European communities. Let's just talk European communities. This may be a lesson of this will be given to European community connotation and denotation. All right, maybe for two or 3 days, but it's not something that's emphasized. Now, if I was going to European community, I would emphasize it, for the whole year. For the entire year. And there would be, lesson and apply it and all that. So this context clues is pushed. But let's keep in mind that's connotation. Now, if you look in, let me a minute here. I'll get that. In reference to science. That one. Now in science, so I'm looking for it. Denotation is heavily used, for an element. Words that are used in science have denotative meanings. Must. The context, this whole context clues, science. All right? We're looking at the periodic table of elements, for example. And I'm talking before this reference here that I can't find right now. I can't remember which one it's in. Any questions? And I'm looking this up.
Gotcha.
I'm actually filling that so I can.
Okay. An example of critical thinking and denotative expression, a hydrogen atom will be denotatively
Thank you,
described as
Thank you, brother. You rescued me, brother.
a-
That's what I was trying to find the reference for. That's
Right.
in one of these pieces.
Right.
Okay, something
An
like
atom
that.
with one electron and one neutron.
There we go. Thank you, brother. Yeah, go ahead. Go continue. Go ahead.
So that is that never changes.
That's
Does not matter
denotation.
what the context
No.
is. Connotatively, a hydrogen atom is light?
How you elucidate?
Right.
Elaborate.
Okay, yes. Connotatively, compared to a uranium atom, a hydrogen atom is light. That means it's lighter, it doesn't weigh as much. But to say a hydrogen atom is light compared to a subatomic particle, it changes. So now it's heavy by comparison. So that to describe a hydrogen atom as a light atom would be connotative, a connotative description. To describe a hydrogen atom as an atom with one electron in its orbit is denotative.
So once again, we're going back to the example of the cow. This is a great example of denotation and connotation. That's why I wanted you to elaborate on that. All right? Thank you. Any other questions, comments?
So I guess to add on to that, Brother Abdullah, I guess the only thing that would be denotative pertaining to the cow, and I'm going to take a chance on this.
Still the cow.
Yeah, I'm going to take a chance on this just to kind of still hit home with what would make it a bovine animal. And one thing that is specifically peculiar about the bovine animal thus far in my studies is that they are ruminating animals. They have 4 stomachs in which they chew the cud, but then they regurgitate it as well. Now that is what I think would be the denotative quality in comparison to the hydrogen example that Brother Shalay Moore just used. Islam.
So you talking biology. It's anatomical structure.
Islam.
That you still talking that so all cows have that.
That's what I'm standing on. So according to my studies thus far, yes, Brother Abdullah, that's what I'm standing on. Islam.
Let's go a little further though.
Right. I don't know. I mean, all right.
Go down the same thing.
Okay. So it wouldn't be a cow then, right? All right.
The goat, back to the goat.
All right. So literal meaning. I'm sorry, let me continue. Now you will often hear, I've often read writers who will define denotation as the dictionary meaning, the literal meaning, the established meaning. So let's analyze that. Dictionary meaning, literal meaning. Basis, let me please go. Dictionary meaning, established meaning, and literal meaning. What is meant by established meaning? Well, we read a dictionary meaning, right, for cow. Right? So we had an example of a dictionary meaning for cow. And what did we see in the dictionary meaning for cow? That there was connotative references for cow.
Yes.
So all of the references or points made for a cow are not denotative. So is the dictionary meaning, is denotation the dictionary meaning?
No.
Because then that would apply, so we say, well, denotation is the dictionary meaning. So that means that all the meanings in the dictionary are denotative.
False. No.
Yes. All right. Established meaning. What is meant by established meaning? These are questions that I started reading. I started just asking myself. Established meaning.
A standing still of average context.
What is this? All right. Here we go. Slave. 1. All right. I would ask the author. All right. Who says dictionary, denotation, established meaning. So I would ask the author who writes that. For this definition, one who is put in servitude. All right, servitude. All right. So I would ask the author author, excuse me, brother man, you said denotation is the established meaning. Would you say, author, that this definition for slave is denotative meaning? You say is this established? Is this the established meaning? What do you mean by established meaning? Something that the general public knows, that millions of people, are you saying that it's established because millions of people use this definition for slave? Is that makes it established? Well, the etymology was already laid down. The etymology was already laid down. Fixed. Historical. Ascertainable. All right? Literal meaning. So we have literal meaning and abstract. This is used in poetry. Literal, abstract. Literal, dealing with concrete. All right? Abstract, not concrete. So, rock. The literal meaning for rock would be, you would just describe the object. All right? It's tangible. Concrete. The abstract meaning would be, he's a rock. Does that mean he is the object?
No.
Because that's a metaphor. He's a rock. It's a metaphor. That means he's not the object, but he's strong. Right? Yes. Right, so literal. So these are definitions I've seen for denotation. Literal, established meaning, and dictionary meaning. And I just wanted to be caution you about that definition. Because oftentimes, the author, Europeans, when they say established meaning, they're talking about what the general public knows today. Going back to the etymological fallacy. So that was just laid down. Or what was laid down first?
The literal meaning.
What was laid down first?
The denotation.
For slave in Eastern European nationality. All right? So that's not the denotative meaning?
No.
Eastern European nationality?
Yes.
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 It's denotative. This is not denotative.
No.
Right.
One who's put in servitude, it's not denotative. That's connotative.
Yeah.
Distortion. Right? How did this meaning come about? The Russians conquered the Slavic people. The act became the connotative meaning. The act of conquering and subjugating the Slavic people became the connotative meaning. So they're applying that as its meaning for the general public. Because the general public does not know its true meaning. And so we've been called descendants of slaves, which we cannot be. It's impossible for us to be descendants of slaves. Why?
Descendants moon.
Huh?
You said descendants of slaves, right?
Descendants of slaves. Why is it impossible for us to be descendants of slaves? We're not of sovereign descent. Can't change your descent.
No.
That's why I say it's impossible. Can't change your descent. All right? So established meaning. What is the established meaning for commerce? Any gainful activity? Any gainful activity, as these constructionists are saying? Agriculture? Is that commerce? You growing food. Growing food, and is that commerce? Growing food?
No.
Growing food, commerce.
No.
Feeding your family by using growing food to feed your family, is that commerce?
No.
Constructionists say it is. See, birthright theft, how they're using legislation. All right? In international law, nationality and citizenship are used interchangeably. Birthright theft. Birthright theft. Somebody's down to steal your birthright. That's not innocent. That's not oversight. That's intentional. To interchange nationality and citizenship as though it has the same meaning, same origin, same jurisdiction is birthright theft. Nationality, biological. Citizenship, political. Nationality, biological. I have a picture.
Natural. Naturalization.
So biology, study of life. So I have a picture of a woman, a child in a woman's womb, a fetus in a woman's womb, lying on her stomach, colorful picture, and putting in the American or United States citizen book. And then I have over here a scroll for citizenship. It's political. So here's color of law. 9 Nations Human Rights Proclamation, 1948. Article 15, Section 2. Article 15, Section 2 of the United Nations Human Rights Proclamation, 1948 reads, everyone has a right to
Nationality.
change. No, Article 2. Article 2.
Yeah, change the nationality.
Change. You can't change your bloodline, ancestry,
It's false,
descent,
false resentment.
consanguinity, lineage. They're using it in the sense of citizenship. That's done all over the world. Yes.
Somebody got the mic.
Yeah,
Who's
the
that?
I'm American, I was born here.
It's stored in the meaning.
I'm an American, I was born here.
Yes, you are.
Excuse me, brother man.
What?
So you're English, you're Donald Trump. Donald Trump.
No, sir.
Would you be a Chinese if you were born in China? No, because I mean, just following your logic.
Yes.
Just following the logic. You said you're an American because you were born here. Would you be a Chinese if you were born in China? Japanese, you were born in Japan. Vietnamese, if you were born in Vietnam. Does that make the people of Vietnam Vietnamese? Does that make, come on again, here we go again. Does that make the people of China Chinese because they were born in China?
No. That denotes membership.
Well, I know Chinese who were born in other parts of the world. Are they not Chinese? They're not Chinese because, follow my, I'm trying to, all right, hear me out, brother. I need you to be with me. I need you to be with me. The point I'm making, so we don't, because I don't want to lose the point.
Okay.
I don't lose the point. Because you're throwing out, all right, hear me out. When you throw out other things, it forces me to address Because once you throw out something, people are listening. Then I have to address it for clarification. What I'm saying in international law, this is real talk, brother. Look it up. This is real talk. They interchange nationality and citizenship as though they have the same meaning, origin, and jurisdiction. This is real. I gave you a reference in the United Nations Human Rights Proclamation. Article 15, Section 2. Everyone has a right to change his nationality. How in the hell can you change your nationality? They're using it as sense of citizenship. I just gave you a real life example. But what is that for? See, it's not innocent though. It's set up. You got think tanks, man. These things don't just happen. We don't see the interworkings behind the scene. We just see, United Nations Human Rights Proclamation. But we don't see the interworkings. Why was that done? Why was that done, that nationality, you have a right to change your nationality? Who came up with that? What's the political motive of that? What are they trying to do? Keep in mind, the Europeans are colonists. And their plan is to maintain European colonization. So they do these using legislation in which to do it. Language. Charlie Rose said on the Charlie Rose Show, 2007. Remember the Iliad, the Cuban boy?
Ilian Gonzalez?
Yeah.
And that's what thing was sounding around language. Charlie Rose says, because we were talking about that on the show in June of 2007. He said, in the course of the show, whoever defines the language controls the issue. Europeans will never, ever enter a venue in which they don't control the language.
Exactly.
Because that's the key.
Because
the key is to get you, the American is, the American is, they control the language. So now you arguing based on that. They orchestrated that. Yeah, you have a right to change your nationality. See, read right here, brother. See? United Nations Human Rights Proclamation. Article 15, Section 2. Right here. You can't see? You have a right to change your nationality. See? And so we get caught up with that. Hey, don't show me that. No. I know reads. I know what reads. No. Is that based in epistemology? Because nationality is based in ancestry, bloodline, descent, pedigree, parentage, lineage. And you can't change that. So going back to what are the essential qualities? Questions, criticism, comments.
What is microphone?
Microphone checker. 1 2 checker.
remedy for that, as I'm thinking out loud, is to go, if you go into their venues, strictly, you rely on the denotative meaning of, the denotative meaning of everything you say. Everything that comes out of your mouth must be denotative. Because they're going to be colorable, they're going to be connotative, and all of those things. So the wise thing for us to do is to be denotative on every single word.
Yes, but let me add to that. We go back to Greek Seal Order now. See, this is important. Establish body politics, orders. So you're not working as an island. You know, you can, for example, we have, for example, even having some of us run for Senate. This is our government. This is the Moorish government. This is the Moorish government. Right? Running for office in your Moorish government. With wearing your turban and fez, or, you know, and doing a campaign. Moorish flag behind you, great seal. You're running. We're backing you. Of course, you need numbers for that. Conscious numbers, you know. As an example. So we definitely, that's a process, and this is what we, you know, we'll now talk about that. All right? Definitely, but I do like the idea of the consul court, so I do love that, you know. All right. American. Yes, on the board. The dark olive, copper complexion, aboriginal, natural peoples of the land, continent, geographically located. See how this is good. See how it has the longitude, latitude. All right, because that's location. That denotes location.
I see.
Now, we understand about how they changed the 0 degree Greenwich. All right, I got you. So I know I got you. I got you. All right, good. I was already there. He's right. He's right. They're controlling that because they changed the 0 degree to Greenwich, England.
Which is 90 degrees off from
Colorado,
right?
From the original. So it's not, so it wouldn't be the original, you know, longitude, latitude as we were using it. They use that as the 0 point, as the reference point. Right, I got you. Good point, got you. You got a question? Yes.
Yeah.
Press the button up.
Just describing the longitude and latitude, so I know that they moved it to throw us off, but other than to throw us off, there's a reason why they picked the new location.
I don't see. That's what he was just saying. I'm sorry.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay. That's what. I'm sorry. I want to move over here. That's what.
That's what Brother Abdullah was talking about, because by removing the 0 point, because I even called Brother Taj not too long ago, and I was like, they do have that Greenwich, England now. As far as the meridian.
Yeah, meridian line.
The international date line.
International date, yes.
But my mind, and this might me just being stupid, I'm thinking Central Time is just west of us. So if something is central, that means that's what it is. So I was looking up in a geographical dictionary, ancient and modern, and I wanted to look up what they was calling, I can't even think of it, but it slipped my mind. But when I looked at the longitude and latitude, it sent me to Gebze, Ethiopia, right? Because I was looking at Abyssinia. That's what I was looking up. I was looking up Abyssinia, and it gives you longitude and latitude. But when I was thinking about central, I said, okay, so let me just go to the central line and try to adjust the same numbers, but according to central, and it put me right just northeast of South America, right where I think Atlantis used to be. Like,
I think I can answer a question.
Okay.
I mean, I think I can answer a question.
Okay.
Banking.
Okay.
Banking.
All right? So, there's a 6-hour difference. England is what, 6 hours ahead?
5 now.
Five hours ahead.
Uh-huh.
So by the time, remember you're sleeping, they've already started the day.
Yes.
Open the banks, they've already started the day. So, because banking plays a whole role in this, controlling. So this is what I think, because I understand the banking, the power of the banks, and because they already started the day, open the stock market and everything. By the time you wake, it's you get up at 8 o'clock.
It's 1 o'clock there.
1 o'clock there.
Yeah.
They about closing,
Mm-hmm.
and almost ended the workday.
Mm-hmm.
It started.
Mm-hmm.
Right, that's what I think. That's what I think.
Okay.
Right? But my thing is, I would start there. If I wanted to analyze something, I would start there. Banking. What do you think, Taj?
Absolutely.
And it was 8.
That would be a great start, man.
That's when they start.
Hey. All right. Remember, the Moors controlled the spice trade.
Mm-hmm.
The Knights, going back to Knights Templar, I gave my little buddies. And then Order of Christ, who is actually the same order. They just reinvent themselves and gone underground into a new name, Knights, the Order of Christ. Took over the spice trade of the Moors. Controlling the economics, because we control the economics of the world through silk and spice trade and the paper mills and literature. We control the world. And the Europeans took over that control. They did not establish anything. Galileo and all, they translated Arabic books written in Latin, medicine books and horticulture and so forth, from Arabic into Latin. They simply took over the existing power. Now, what they did not do was able to maintain all of the industries that we set up. A lot of those, places became desolate. Elysia, Cordova, Seville. We're talking about silk trade, paper mills, and so forth. Silk trade with China. Our control of Persia and modern day India. Right? We talk about tremendous power here. Tremendous world power that we once had. So we came from Africa, and African kings sold us into slavery, and see what? Look at that. Is that they said it where you're talking about the mighty powerful Moroccan Empire, seizing European ships and capturing Europeans and teaching Europeans and so forth. They wiped that out. Suppress that. So, they came from Africa. So now you first see a European, you're already in a subjugated position. Your first sight is already in a subjugated. See, I want you to know your power. I don't want you to know that you fought them. See, you're submitting to them. See, the first onset of seeing Europeans, you're what? Handed over. See the psychology. Follow the psychology. The first sight of seeing the Europeans ever is that you're already in chains. You're already in chains. And you're being traded to them, bound and chained. They don't want to know that you fought them. Our brothers knew that we fought them, killed them, had them for ransom. They killed us, we killed them. They seized us, we captured them, they captured us. But no, they
African slaves, African kings and queens sold them to the Portuguese and the Spaniards, and he was brought over here in hells and holes and ships. And
Whoa.
Come on, man. We fought them, fam. The night orders were established to fight against us, fam. We fought them. We didn't bow down to them. We fought them. Question. I'm just keeping it real.
I do got some stuff going on in my head.
I'm here to stimulate thinking, y'all.
Where's the microphone?
Oh.
Because that's, see, I say certain things to stimulate thinking. But this is my style, family. I like the interactive style. I don't like this style where I'm talking all night long, talking 3 or 4 hours. Y'all don't say jack. No, that's why I take any questions. That's why I stopped at questions, because I want that interaction. Because you learn better, so it's more effective. Because you're involved and you're learning. Go ahead, brother.
All right, that's fine. Now, I'm going to take a chance on this one.
Hey, brother,
I looked up Albion. I looked up Albion in the Dictionary of Geography, Ancient and Modern, 1834. Mm-hmm. And when looking up the word Albion, it lets you know that it is a place also known or called Albion for its chalky mountains, just south of the Rhone River, where it was our center of world trade. So when I read that, I was thinking, after grafting the Albions at the Yucatan Peninsula, them being the slave class by our intent, not only are they moved to the land of Angles or Albion to slowly but surely not have to deal with the sun because of the land of Angles, but they're a slave class, so that's the World Trade Center, so that means for them to learn to be custodians to take over the commerce. That's what I was just thinking in theory. So when you just said what you said, I was thinking like, all right, so maybe that's what was going on too, because not only was, they there, we took them there to the land of Angles, but you're saying we fought them too because we're forcing them to servitude, and that's right around that area is where the center of trade was, per me looking up the word Albion in an 1834 Dictionary of Geography, Ancient and Modern.
Also keep in mind too that we lived among them. Mm-hmm. So we wasn't where we would have all Europeans in bondage type thing.
Right.
No. They lived among us. We raised them up. We took Europe out of the Dark Ages. We made, hear me out, brother. We did not discriminate. When it comes to education. What the Europeans are doing to us, we did not do to them.
That's what I thought.
In that regards, we made education. Not talking about this inner city stuff they're giving us.
Right.
We talking about high class. I'm talking about true education. Pristine. Chelsea Clinton and them. The Obama type education. I'm serious.
Yes.
Brother, we made that available to poor third Europeans.
Yes.
This is your talk. Mm-hmm. Poor third Europeans had that. It wasn't, brother. They would have the same, you or more, right? They would have the same quality education as you would.
Yes.
It wouldn't be any difference. They'd be in your sort of class.
That's ironic.
No, I'm serious, bro. Yeah. See this European crap that we, conquered Spain and stuff. Brother, they was in come on, man. Please. Go ahead.
Online question. There's a suppression of the white slave trade in the UN. Why do you think the other nations go along with this?
All right, you talking about our enslaving Europeans?
I believe so.
Yes. All right. Let me read this. Robert Davis, professor of Italian Renaissance history, Ohio State University. The enslavement of Europeans doesn't fit the general theme of European world conquest and colonization that is central to scholarship on the early modern era. So it doesn't fit that theme of world conquest. that the Moors, had Europeans like this. That doesn't fit. They can't get that off. They can't get it off. They can't get this story off. They can't get it off. Because the way they present the story is that they was running the world in the 700s and 800s and 900s and 1100s, 1200s, 1300s, 1400s, and that's not true. It's not true.
But I'm not sure whether you addressed the question of why other nations go along with
Oh, all right. So I didn't do that. All right. Once again, they are in cahoots with the Europeans. You notice that they'll say the Arab slave trade. That's not discussed in the general public. Moors enslaving our own people. That's not discussed in the general public. African scholars don't even discuss that. African scholars don't. I mean, still some do, but most of them don't. So what are they suppressing? The tremendous power of the Moors. They got to maintain this, that we are servitude, subverted and subjugated, always been to Europeans. If our people knew that that wasn't the case, then that changes their full view of Europeans in relationship to themselves. We're not talking about, where we had, our own kingdom and it was just all of us. I'm talking about where we are controlling Europeans and teaching them and everything. That's not known to the general public. So did I answer? It's pretty much keeping us in a state of subjugation, mental subjugation in relationship to the Europeans. Because they're not teaching us our world power.
But why are other nations going along with it?
Oh, because of the
there's collusion between them.
The trades they have with these other Middle Eastern countries. All right. And also, we don't really have. They don't have access to. They don't have access to these schools here. They're not going to. Those books aren't being. Those books are written. So keep in mind, books are written. The key is, they don't have. Those Middle Eastern countries don't have control here where they can get that into the schools. How would they get that into the schools? How would that transfer from there and get that into the schools? Because literature is written. Now, keep in mind, tremendous research is done. So let me be clear about this. Research has been done. Many books written in Arabic, Latin, you name it, has been written on this. Enslaving Europeans, Arab trade, all that's been written. Key is, why is it not known here? That they're writing books. They don't have control to get it here. They have to get it in schools. They don't have control to get into schools. They're just keeping it real. They don't. Yes.
This is my question. What do you think we can do in terms of, since we know that there's a sort of a hidden, I want to say, enemy that is behind the things or the powers that we think are powers. We talk about cabal and black cloaks and deep states and all this stuff. Mm-hmm. Given that the nature of the deception and how deep it is, how can we as Moors come together in a metaphysical sense, to overthrow and expose. I don't know if we need to even expose, but to overthrow the control that this deep state cabal, you know, if you will, Khazarian type situation has held sway over our people for so many years. How can we come together, even if we're not in the same? I know you're going to say part of what we're doing right now, but we know that they're seeing this stuff.
All right, can I help change the language a little bit? I don't want to answer the way you posed it.
Well, just said it the way I.
No, because it's important that I change up a little bit.
Okay.
You don't want to use the word overthrow.
Okay.
It's important.
To bring when I say overthrow, I don't mean overthrow. I mean to bring ourselves back to a place there. Okay, I correct that.
All right, because it's I don't.
Right. We're not talking about government overthrow. We're just talking about coming up to our rightful place.
Yeah, but still the word overthrow was out there, so I got
okay.
Right.
I take it back, y'all.
Reclaim.
Reclaim.
Yeah, reclaim. Because when you say overthrow, it would imply that you're taking something of control of something that's not yours. Mm-hmm. Right. That's why it's important that we don't use the word overthrow.
Okay.
You know, reclaim.
Reclaim.
Yeah, reclaim.
All right.
Yeah, not claim.
Reclaim.
Reclaim. Europeans are doing that. Europeans do claim. We are reclaiming.
Okay.
And we're reclaiming.
I would.
Right, that's why. Go ahead, but take a shot at it.
I'm gonna wait till I have Brother Taj go.
All right, great, Taj.
On the last question, about the different states organized, the political states organized with the Europeans, particularly of the Western Hemisphere, in the maintenance of the unum sanctum policies instituted by the crowns, that's the Crown Templars, as well as the Crown Monarchy dealing with Queen of England, and when you're dealing with Westminster and the District of London. We also have to keep in mind the Berlin Conference of 1884-1885, and recognize that most of your political states, nation states around the world, that are operatively cooperating with the British operations of European hegemony in the Western Hemisphere, most of their leaders are vassals. They are not really derivative from the supports of the people. So the appearance of sovereign activities coming from the other nation states in collusion with the Europeans operating in the Western Hemisphere is not as it appears to be, because there are very few, if any, are any sovereign rulers. They are provably vassal states, and most of the leadership are not actually raised by the peoples of those different territories and jurisdictions. They're usually puppets of the CIA, which belongs to the Jesuit order. That's a reminder. So I think a lot of times when we're looking at activities of nation states, it's usually the psychology that the rulers are sovereigns of the state, when in fact they're vassals.
Your point. Excellent.
I wanted to. Oh, I'm sorry.
Okay, I'm sorry about that. I wanted to speak to that though, because I remember, I believe there was some lectures in the past, Brother Todd and you, Brother Abdullah, had spoke on energy, cathode energy. So I've been really looking into that, cathode and anode. And its general basis is cathode is the path that a current is supposed, made subject to go or to take, whereas anode was what it's thought to take, thoughts dealing with consideration, that's the zodiac. So how do we come together to counter cathodic type energy, even though in my studies it seems like it's necessary? So, but
very simple.
Yes.
It's almost a cliche statement.
Yes.
Turn your hearts back to your ancient mothers and fathers. Turn your hearts back to your ancient mothers and fathers, lest I come and smite the earth with a curse, which closes out the old testimonies of the Septuaginta, which is converted into what we know today as the Bible, but is actually coming from the ancient books of the dead. And then before that, there are maxim principles that are established for the human family. They're called maxims of moral and ethical laws, and not necessarily spooky,
Right.
but really philosophy. So when we go back to the principles of our ancient mothers' fathers, the nature's law and nature's God, we have the cure before us, is that we have rejected it, which is why we fell.
Yes.
Whereas Yahshua, the Moabite, whose great-great-grandmother was Ruth the Moabite, said, I come amongst my own, and they receive me not. So who do the Romans transliterate, not really transliterate, but actually alter and modify Yahshua as Jesus? And they lynch him. And they've been lynching us too.
Yes.
But yet they use him as a front to gain people's trust. And then they go to bed with him, and then they do what? Embrace them, then they devour them.
Yes.
Has it been different than that?
Embrace devour. No.
Saying so it's
But
like
that's
don't go to bed with the harlot.
That's cathodic, though.
Yes.
That's a downflow.
And so it represents those, it's a balance, but it represents the negative energy force.
Yes.
And the anode represents the positive energy force, because all things are energy.
Yes.
So when you deal with magnetism and electricity, they're essentially, when you understand the forces of nature, are relative to the same source.
Yes.
With a different use.
Yes.
This is why you really don't need generators to actually make electricity. If you really understand it, you can get electricity out of the air. This is what they don't want people to know.
Like Tesla when he held a light bulb.
Exactly, and that's not his knowledge. That's ancient Egypt, ancient Samaria, ancient Lemuria. But anyway, I don't want to get off that. But I think that's all relevant. Islam.
I have on the board, this was welcome class on Monday, my etymology class, pass up to the university, pass up Pan-African Studies Community Education Program. One of my students, I had put my name on the board, Abdullah, and she said, oh, I'm sorry. I have Muslim name on the board, no, with the Muslim names on the board. So I put my name. And she asked me, is this a Muslim name? And that question actually took the class, because my plan was to do vocabulary building, prefix rules, examples, suffix rules. We didn't even get into that. Didn't we? We didn't even get into there's more questions, because they love the class too. Actually, we got into the lesson I gave. Was not even planned, but I said it led to that. So, and they loved it. I said, Muslim name. So, can somebody give me a list of Muslim names?
Allegedly Muslim names?
You have to qualify it. You do your thing. Say, if you miss a list of Muslim names, then you do your thing about it. You say
Muhammad.
I can't say that's Muslim. Okay.
You say Muhammad?
Connotatively Muslim.
Muslim. What's the difference? What's the difference between Muslim and Muslim? You said big difference? You sure? You said big difference.
No.
And a Muslim is an electrical system of muscles, bones, tissues, and limbs manifested through the womb of woman.
So what's the, no, I said no, that's no. What's the difference between Muslim and Muslim?
Symbolic-graphically, one has an O and an E, and the other one has a U and an I.
Linguistically, all right, linguistically. All right, so linguistically. Linguistic. What's going wrong? linguistically speaking. So the difference is that there's a difference in sound. That's it. It's different in sound.
Okay.
Listen, it's a sound shift. These are it's called vowel shifts. Right? Vowel shifts. It doesn't change the meaning. This doesn't change the meaning. It's just a vowel shift. That's all. It's just changing this, you pronounce it Muslim, pronounce it potato. Does that change the meaning? Potato, does that change the meaning? It's just it's a sound, it's a pronunciation, that's all. Alright, so you have sound shifts. Alright, someone said, alright, Muhammad. Alright, another one?
Hakeem.
Ali? Hakeem? Different spellings.
Every fool in the world is named Ali.
Ali? What else?
Omar.
Omar. We have to use here, Omar.
Bilal.
That's different spelling.
Yusuf.
Habib. It's A, letter H-A-B. B-I-B. That's right. Yeah.
Mustafa.
Who's giving me these names?
I mean, I'm just participating just to see
All right.
what's happening. I'm just gonna see what's happening right now. At this
Right.
point,
But you already know what's happening. But you know what I'm doing with this. He knows what I'm going with this. I'm just seeing what happening. He already knows what I'm going with this. All right, let's go right to it. All right, what I said to the class, Muslim name, is that based in epistemology?
Got a couple out here too. They said Akbar.
Akbar. All right.
Hallelujah.
Is this based in epistemology?
Let's see.
Names are based in ancestry, lineage, consanguinity, descent, parentage. All right, is Muslim a parentage, an ancestry, lineage, consanguinity of anybody on the planet, of anybody, any people on the planet? Is that an ancestry, lineage, consanguinity, bloodline of any people on the planet?
No.
So therefore,
Not Muslim names.
syllogism. Therefore, it's not.
Muslim names.
Thank you. It's just that simple, fam. It's not complicated, fam. Don't complicate it, fam. Don't complicate it. It's just that simple. And you know what I mean? And it. No. It's just that simple.
All right.
Is this a ancestry?
Nope.
Therefore, there can't be no Muslim names. But, there's no but to it. It's a but.
There ain't no but.
So, Muhammad Ali, when I say, Cassius Clay, say Muhammad Ali was his Muslim name. Kareem Abdul-Jabbar is his Muslim name.
Nope.
All right. Now, is this an ancestry, lineage, consanguinity of any people on the planet?
Nope. Nope.
So, Cassius Clay, well, that's his Christian name. Muhammad Ali, Muslim name. Cassius Clay, Christian name. Muhammad Ali, Muslim name.
How about his Buddha?
Lou Alcindor, Christian name. Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, Muslim name. Lou Alcindor, Christian name. Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, Muslim name. False paradigm, not based in epistemology.
Go ahead. Oh.
Not based in epistemology. class really loved this one. He was fired up. Yeah. So meaning, true meaning, and meaning. True meaning. So we have, let's bring it full circle. True meaning. Yeah, meaning. So semantics, they call it science of meaning. Etymology. So is etymology the study of words?
Yeah, roots.
There you go. Yeah, that's it. So he said no. He said the roots. Study of the roots of words. So he said etymology is not the study of words. Etymology is the study of the roots. All right, there we go. Different. See, that's important. Because if studying, we say, well, studying words, slave, one who put in servitude. Color. Pigmentation. You're studying words, aren't you? Are we doing word study? Oh, you're not studying the true meaning of the word. Yeah. Say color, yeah, pigmentation. Red, white, purple, green. You know? I was working on this lesson with my daughter. She's 11 years old. It didn't go over too well. I knew it wasn't. I said, I'm going to give it a shot. I knew it wasn't. He was playing with her anyway, but I knew it wasn't. Like, she's crayons and red and purple and green, and he called them colors and so forth. And the teacher said, and I know it was good for that. But my teacher said, I'm teaching her, but she does say that. My teacher said, you don't know what you're talking about, man. My teacher said. She does do that. Yeah. So I've given her lessons over the years. Because a teacher said, and friends said. I'm keeping it real. I've been teaching my daughter over the years. Yeah. And I said, this is the American flag. So you go to school and she starts making bad. Yeah, the American flag. That thing. So, yeah. Mythology. We was in watching King Kong, and after the movie, she said, Daddy, is that a myth? And I was walking out the movie there, and I was thinking, like, how I'm going to explain. And I paused because she thinks that myth means something that's not true. Which is not true. Not true. So be careful with that. Yeah. We talk about knowledge of science, philosophy. Myth doesn't mean something that's true. True mythology. You're looking at the stories of the constellations. That's true. It's taught in a story format. So we don't want to say something that myth means something that's not true. So I was trying to wrestle in my mind of how to explain this to my daughter, that myth doesn't mean something that's not true. And we just saw King. I couldn't do it. I couldn't do it at the time because I'm like, man. I said I can say these things, but I know it's gonna go right here, man. I said, oh my gosh, I can't do this right now. Because another time, I'll dress it another time. We'll dress it another time, but not here right now. We just started the movie, and she's. Another thing is myth is something that's not true, but she's taught that her teacher said and that thing, So I'm like, hey, I know that's not, I I understand the flood stories and stuff. I look at that scientifically. I don't, that whole untrue thing, I don't view things like that as the case. All right? So we talked about true meaning. I presented it this way. Instead of saying denotation, because I could have said denotation and connotation, and I know that, you know, the general public is not aware of what denotation and connotations were they anybody heard of. Trust me, I've taught over 100 adult students, teachers and so forth, and I'll put denotation and connotation on the board. It's like, you know, they've never even heard the words before. I'm dead serious. So I'm like, wow, if I put them in the flyer. No, I'm serious. I'm thinking, I gotta, you know, because Dr. Nailah, she wants me to get, I gotta get it into her. So I was like, I'll use this title. You know, I'm gonna use true meaning and meaning, you know. And that would spark some, you know, something, an interest of thinking. Yes.
I think you can hear me. Islam, but the word connotation in and of itself, you hear con. And when I think connotation, I think of something that is not true because of the prefix con. To me, it's like a con game. You know, it's to me. So if
they're adding to it.
Yeah.
Because you're looking at the prefix con, which means with.
Yeah.
Together, like that. They're adding to, as we saw with the definition of cow.
Right.
And see how those qualities, those elements were added that is not essential to what a cow is. Right?
Right.
So I mean, you're on the track of that. I'll accept that one.
Let me see if there's any questions up here.
And you're right, in aspects, particularly on law, is that it is designed to con, deceive. Just because to steal your birthright. It's like commerce, the word commerce. The original meaning of the Commerce Clause. That wasn't done accidentally. This whole constructionist and revisionist, you know, debate that's been going on in the Supreme Court for decades. All right? Any other questions? Yeah, I'm looking at the time, yes, so we're going to wind it down. All right, so once again, my book, The Masonic Compass is Square and the Connection to Timekeeping and Measurement will be available by May. I'm trying to shoot for May. We're looking good for that. We're looking good for May. All right? This is 7 chapters, and it deals with, the first chapter deals with history. I go into the night orders and so forth. 7 chapters, 6 chapters, 2 to 6 deals with the astronomy, or what they call symbolisms. I really go into it in detail. I talked about chapter 3 already. I mean, I'm talking like this is detail, extensive, you know, references and all that details. I have in chapter 4 where I go into the astronomical origin of the solar pillars of Boaz and Jachin. I have the sunrise and sunset tables. And I'm going into it, detail. Because in order for me to really get it across, so it's not viewed as some spookism type thing, I got to be scientific with it. I got to go straight science. All right? And you have copies of Moors and Masonry? Yeah, I have copies of Moors and Masonry. Moors and Masonry can be at moorsandmasonry.org. Right, moorsandmasonry.org. All right? This is the front cover, and this is the back cover. Brother Atif, and he called me a couple of days ago. Atif called me a couple of days ago. He said that brother wants you in Tennessee. They want him everywhere. No, because I just remembered. When I said I was supposed to call Todd and let him know that. I just remembered. That's why I just told him. Now the world knows Tennessee. He's coming. Yes.
No, I'm actually laughing because there was a Moors spelled Tennessee.
Yes, moorsandmasonry.org. All right, so give yourselves a hand. I thank you. Okay, I just want to say, I was trying to keep the camera in certain places, as you all can see. You all can't see on the screen, maybe not. You got. We're in the process of doing some
renovations, as you can see. So I was trying to keep the camera in, but I can't. Trying to follow Brother Abdullah all over the place. But thank you all. You can.
All right, Islam. Just very briefly, April 21st, 2018, it will be an Astrology 101 workshop, and we'll expound upon the basics dealing with astrology. We would like for you guys to send your registration, first 40 seats, first come, first serve. It is 52 notes for your class, for your reservation. We want you to eat. That's what it will take care of. And I'm considering supplies, okay, like different school supplies. Just something small, nothing big, like a math tool set, maybe composition notebook, so you guys can enjoy, you know, composite square set drawings and stuff like that. But April 21st, 2018, Astrology 101 workshop here at House of Real Awakening Minds.
And they will get,
40.
will their charts be done?
Say that again?
They'll get their charts done during?
We will go into that, but what my plan is, I've already casted a chart for April 21st, 2018, and I want everyone to be able to analyze that chart, which they'll be able to analyze that day, so that they can analyze the actual energies that will affect them that day in class. Okay? Okay. The 21st of April, that's a Saturday. 21st. Yes, 21st of April, 2018. Yes, beloved. Oh, okay, indeed. Okay, so I'll say this. The class, the Astrology 101 workshop is going to be, it's like this, but we're going to go deep into the reference points. So that's 52 notes per seat. Now, for those that usually want to get, what I do is a mirror session. Okay, the mirror session is a lot more detailed. It's one-on-one. And yes, I do, and I'm just going to put this out there, I do ask for what I do is only 100 notes. And it's, I mean, I have, I think, a couple of testimonies in the room that could actually tell you what you would get for that 100-note contribution. I mean, it's more than what you probably expect, because not only do I give you documentation, not only do I give you an interpretation of your chart, but I teach you how to read it yourself so you can help your family as well, and it's simple.
Hassan, what time is the event on the 21st?
1 p.m. to 5 p.m. and I would like everyone to be here at the latest by 1:45. Like 12:45 would be great, because if the elders that I know going to show up, there's some activities that I have planned, because I want elders that are already doing astrology, and I'm going to be setting up certain groups, because I think with the way that we're going to deliver it for those 4 hours, you guys are going to be astrologers, like, easily by the time you walk out this door, because the basics that we're going to go over, you should be able to use it, like Brother Abdullah showing you etymology, Brother Taj teaching you civics and like whatever the case may be, you should be able to take the basics.
Plus,
be able to.
Plus, you get peanut butter sandwiches.
To be very honest with you, I am going to start with tropic. Most people are only familiar with 12 zodiac signs, even though we did have 2 moon cycles this past January. But I will go in the 12 zodiac signs. I will keep it very simple as being able to identify the signs as far as their symbols, the planet symbols, as well as I will also go over the aspects, okay? So that's basically the geometry part of it. But when we go over this Astrology 101, what I normally do is I will draw correlations. So you're not just going to go over astrology, you're going to go over etymology too in this class, because certain things that you're going to learn in astrology class, you're going to have to know what they actually denote, so that we can be able to, be able to really get along with this thing. Like if I was to say, quick example, if I was to say, hey, what kind of moon is outside when the sun is opposition to moon? Anybody? There you go. It's full moon. You see what I'm saying? But see how that right there, me using the word opposition, you're not familiar with.
See, 180 degrees, that's another way because opposition denotes divide 360 by 2. But see, if we don't know how to identify 1/4, 0.25, ONE-QU-ARTER, then when somebody goes, what's 1 plus 1 plus 1 plus 1? Like Brother Taj said, you go, but you know 2 and 2. So we want to make sure you have more perspectives in knowing how to analyze astrology. That's really what the whole purpose is. So, 52 notes, first 40 to come. Okay, the brother got his change right here. Remember, we want to, we want to make sure that we can get you guys fed. So we want to get Mother Abundance Child to provide you guys lunches. But the lunch will be provided per your reservation. So it's going to be on a first come, first serve, and that's how we'll get the lunches ordered. So any questions, any comments? I will give everything dealing with the astrology class to Mother Nailah, because we want everything to go to the house first. We're trying to start, some uniformity.
And where do they go to sign up?
And you can go on Dr. Nailah's paypal.me/Nailah Gilliam, or
I'll repost it.
You said
I'll repost it.
she'll repost it, and I'll post the flyer too. So we'll post that in as well. So with that, I yield the floor. Islam, peace and love.
Good night, y'all. So y'all got that.